So we have my equation density equals mass divided by volume, right? We've already practiced this equation a couple times, but we can actually manipulate this equation to solve for mass sometimes, or we can solve for volume sometimes. I'm just going to show you a brief algebra way to figure this out so it makes sense to us, and then I'm going to talk about this nifty little triangle, which will help us out a lot. So if this is my equation, let's say I wanted to solve for, let's say volume, okay? I want to get volume alone on one side of the equation. In order to do that, right now volume is in the denominator. So let me rewrite this down here. Density equals mass divided by volume. If I multiply by volume on both sides of my equation, those would cancel out, and I would be left with VD equals M, right? So I actually just solved for mass right there, because mass equals volume times density. Let me write that in a different color. I'm going to write that up here because we already solved it. Mass equals volume times density. But what if I wanted the volume by itself? What would I have to do that? All I'm going to do is now I need to divide by density, right? If I wanted volume by itself, I need to get rid of this density. Right now they're being multiplied. What's the opposite of that? Division. So if I do that, that cancels the densities right there, and this leaves me with volume equaling mass divided by density. So again, I'll write this up here as well. So volume equals mass divided by density. So I just showed you the algebra way to solve this problem. Now I'm going to show you what this triangle is doing, because we're going to use this a lot, not only for our density equation, but for other equations as well. So in order to get any other variable, all we have to do is to cover the variable we're solving for, and boom, we have our equation. So for example, say I wanted to solve for density. If I cover this density right here, I cover that variable, what am I left with? I'm left with mass over that volume. That's my equation, right? Mass over volume. I have mass over volume. What if I wanted to solve for mass? Well, I'm just going to cover the m. Going to cover that m. What am I left with? I'm left with density times volume. Look at this. Mass equals density times volume. So I just had to cover that m, and I had that equation right there. What if I wanted to solve for volume? If I cover that v, what am I left with? I'm left with mass over density. Mass divided by density. Mass divided by density. Volume equals mass divided by density. So this equation right here is going to be used throughout these triangles. And like I said, we're going to have different equations, especially next semester when we get into physics, and we can always put them in this triangle right here.